Rev up your engines. If you're thinking about living in a van, hey, my advice is think big, so at least there's some room. This thing is out like as a special needs van, as we can see. It used to have a lift here, but these doors today are the doors to nowhere. As you can see, they go to the back side of his lithium battery, water system. I mean, it's all set up in here. You don't climb in this way anymore, but it kind of makes access to his stuff easy. Now, I bought this thing for $20 and he customized it himself because he realized, hey, you're gonna go on the road, hotel rooms and stuff are gonna cost you a fortune. Why waste money on that when you can have a mobile video studio with you and live in the thing? Now, he did have to put some money in it. A little over 300,000 miles, the engine went out, and that was about 18 grand. He had a brand new V10 put in. But the other one went 300,000 miles. If he gets 300,000 miles, it's definitely money well spent, right? Now, if you look under the hood, it looks like any old Ford van. As you can see here, it was made in 2005, so it's not overly complex. I mean, you see these things all the time going to the airport and stuff, right? They can take quite a bit of mileage before they fall apart. Now, when you look at the top there, you might think, he's got a little smokestack. But check it out as we go inside. There's the bottom of the smokestack. This thing has a beautiful miniature wood burning stove. It's wild. This is double insulated so he doesn't burn himself on it. He's got his editing stuff. There's a picture of him on his computer. He can travel all over the country, do all his editing out of this thing. A nice full-size bed, lots of room. And he's got his microwave. The propane's hiding under there. Little stove, a lot of little drawers. Cool Magic Shop fridge. Check it out, his frozen food's in there and it's still frozen. I showed you before, he's got a big old lithium-ion battery set up so he can run a lot of stuff and then recharge it while he's driving. Little map of places he's going, and just like a captain, he can hide himself behind there when he's driving. It's got its own toilet and shower, and rather than waste so much of time wiring everything with sound, he's got his big old Sony system here that puts out great sound. And you can see he's got all his electronics wired quite well. Even his shoes are organized. Hey, my wife would like this one. Now, if you're thinking about doing something like this, and you take the price of brand new ones into consideration, you're gonna start looking at something like this, because the prices are not only astronomical, but to tell you the truth, they don't make them like they used to. This is a 2005. Before they started putting direct injection and turbos and all that crap on, it's a pretty basic vehicle that can be maintained by anybody who understands Fords. If you went way back in time, 3 decades ago, a lot of people would say, oh man, you gotta get one of these Mercedes vans. They run forever. And sure, they were expensive, but you get your money's worth. Well, that's not the case with Mercedes-Benzes anymore. They don't make them like they used to. I know guys, YouTubers that bought them, they put tons of money into them because they don't make them like they used to. For example, if you want a brand new VIP Sprinter camping van, they'll start setting you back $250,000 up. That's a lot of money, right? But check this one out, it's $350,000. But even at that price, I see them having problems before their times. They're not the old Mercedes diesels that could go 500,000 pretty much trouble-free miles. They are not as well made as they used to be. You can see this guy likes modifying stuff. He ripped the seat out, put this bench in, so he's got a seat belt on each side. He can sit here, and then somebody else can sit sideways. Necessity is the mother of all inventions, right? Of course, the downside of any big van is this: how much gasoline it uses. Well, he averages about 10 miles a gallon. He's got a 50-gallon tank, so it can go a long way, 500 miles. If you're gonna have a big vehicle, you're gonna use fuel. It doesn't matter. The main thing is, you want something that was designed correctly for that size, and as you can tell by looking at this, it's got dualies in the back. As we go to the other side, it's got dualies in the back too. Now, if you want a stable big vehicle like this, okay, you gotta get dualies in the back. I've seen guys try to hook up relatively large vans that only had 4 wheels, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. They do not handle right. They can't take the weight right. They don't corner right. When you're carrying this kind of weight, you really want to have dualies in the back. That's just the way that it is. I've had guys try to do it with singles. Sometimes they get in wrecks because they flip too easy. Big trucks have dualies on them for a reason. And this one does have dualies on it, so you don't have to worry about, gee, was the suspension done right? Hey, I mean, look at it. It's actually the same kind of vans you see at the airport and stuff, shuttling people around. These things have gone hundreds of millions of miles without having any problems. But you really got to have a dually setup. So they actually work out really handy that this was a special access van, because he just left the doors here and he can access all of his electronic stuff when he needs to. Doesn't have to tear all this stuff out. Oh, the access is on the back. Now he's young. He's got that wood burning stove for heat. But when he's parked, he didn't have air conditioning. The air conditioning in the front, hey, it still works when he's driving around. It gets it nice and cool. But he opens the windows and uses the exhaust fan at night so he can sleep. I know I just came here from Houston, Texas. Said, how did you survive in Houston? I lived there 46 years. He said, I had a hard time in this thing in Houston. The heat, the humidity, right? You could put air conditioning, and it originally had a gigantic air conditioning setup here. But it took up too much of his space, so he tore it out. It's stuck in a funny self-made sign that says, Zach Zoller, congratulations for surpassing 100 subscribers. August 18th, 2017. Now, if you ask me, this guy's smart, because rather than spending a minimum of 150 bucks a night for hotel rooms, it's going to be, $5 grand or more a month. Do that for a year at $60,000, right? Well, more money than he has in this thing, right? And then you still have the nice van after the end of the year. If you're going to be serious about something like that, this could be a really viable option for people. Because let's face the facts. Most places, a lot of rooms are going to be well over 150 bucks. You could double that easy in a lot of cities. That's a lot of money to spend that you wouldn't have to spend. And since his editing stuff's all in there, you can all do it in one place. And he does editing for other people too, so hey, he can do it all while he's on a run, and he doesn't have to deal with hooking up to other people. That's a pretty interesting idea. Now, of course, if you are smart, you'll do like he did. Not only is that heat insulation, but it's privacy insulation when you're either working or sleeping. He's got the back all done in too. Now, you might wonder how he sees. Well, he's got a camera set up for the back. Watch. There's the Zach Zoller channel. So there you have it, a living, working van. He's going across the nation in it. Hey, kind of an interesting idea. When you're young, you don't care. You don't have a wife and kids to tie you down. Why not travel around? I did it on a motorcycle, but you couldn't carry that much on a motorcycle, right? I wouldn't be making videos on a motorcycle, but hey, it's a pretty interesting idea, and he's doing it, from my perspective, the right way. He didn't go out and buy some $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 thing and, get high in debt. Start with something you can afford and then work your way through with it. And if you get one like this, that, hey, you just put an engine in it, if that lasts another 300,000 miles, hey, it's certainly getting his money's worth out of it. A lot of times it's better to fix up old stuff than buying new stuff, especially when it comes to the price and quality of vans, because from my experience, the quality of the newer vans, it ain't what it used to be. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, the crazy politicians in Hawaii are proposing a road tax per miles driven instead of a gasoline tax. Because of course, we're going to electrify, and then they're not going to be paying a charge, so we'll charge per mile driven. Do these idiots realize anything? How are you going to see how many miles people drive, right? First of all you got to do is disconnect your speedometer, and then it will not register, unplug the sensor, and it won't know how far you're driving. And you might say, well, then people won't know how fast they're going. All our phones tell us how fast we're going these days. You could mount your phone up there for your speedometer if you wanted to, right? But, they're all worried about, how are we going to pay for the roads? Oh, we'll just charge you per mile, blah, blah. What are these people? They live in a fantasy world. Don't they realize there's no way of keeping people accountable for how many miles they actually drive? Well, they say, it's only going to be 0.8 of a cent per mile. Yeah, to begin with, right? Originally, federal income tax, I guess, way back when, 100-something years ago, was like 1% or something. Well, it's a lot more than 1% now. And once they started tax, it's only got one way to go, up. Higher and higher and higher and higher, right? What a stupid idea. And the funny thing is, I met a guy from Hawaii when I was in Pennsylvania last year. He was going to a funeral, right? He was driving a Tesla that he rented, but he had a Tesla that he owned in Hawaii. And he says, yeah, the big problem with Hawaii is there's no place to recharge these stupid things. I got to really watch my range and top it up at home all the time, right? But they're already thinking of ways of charging people more money, right? Even though there's no infrastructure, they're going to charge you more for what there is. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.